My Time Podcast with Asher Chua.
I had that was at the training when we went.
Mm-hmm.
That did not. I don't think they're doing anything with it right now themselves, and so I
Right.
think it could be a little overwhelming and stuff. And good information. It's a tool.
Right.
You try to do the best you can with that tool, and so
Yeah. I mean, to your point, I guess we're talking about the disc, and it's like, it's a very interesting tool, and it almost seems like a toy to some degree. It's like
Yeah.
if you don't go in there with the plan, or you don't go in with like the intention of how you're going to use it, like
Yes.
in what you're already doing, then it makes it very, very difficult to say, okay, um, I'm gonna do what somebody else is doing because I don't have a plan yet. So I'm just going to like go and do that. And I think that's where I found myself at the start of last year, because I went in, did the training at first, and I was like, okay, this is good information because I took the test previously.
Yes.
I know what my behavioral habits are, what I like, what I
Yeah.
don't like, and I know why.
Yes.
And then I wanted to be able to show somebody else that, but I hadn't established any kind of platform or anything. The main thing was just like, I started the podcast as a hobby, and then as I was learning about it, I started to develop it into, okay, I'd like to make this into a business, like something that's profitable, it pays for itself, it's able to function. But it's like podcasting and then coaching, they're two different things,
Two different things.
and they can one can work with the other, as to where, like me speaking with you right now, it gets me comfortable into like interacting with somebody in a
Yeah.
coaching setting. But even when I remember when I first tried to do the practice reps with other
Yeah.
coaches, it basically turned into a podcast, because it's like you get in there, you're having a conversation, you're just like,
Yeah.
okay, hey, how are you doing? Like, you're meeting them for the first time, like you're talking, and that's like, okay, well, at this point, I'm gonna try to go through this assessment in 15 minutes. But I had to like try and force myself out of the podcast mode that I just accustomed
Yeah.
myself to get into. And is like, is one just trying to go in opposite directions, but like I hadn't quite got things to align just right.
Well, and I think the reality of it is too, is that I'm not sure. Didn't you your assessment, was it a C?
Yeah, it's high C, high S.
Yeah, high CIS. So you take a look at those two together. I'm a high S. So
Right.
I got a lot of pace to myself, and it could take a long time for me procrastinating and
Mhm.
things like that. What helped me out was that I managed dealerships, and so I had to come out of that S in order to get everybody to perform. As a salesperson,
Right.
I could be an S as a salesperson and be real successful, because consumers like me. I wasn't rushing them.
Right.
Listening to them and things of that nature. But when you're running the whole store,
Mhm.
you got to get everybody moving at optimum speed in order to catch the goals and do sales. So when you take a look at your high C, and then to have you go and explain the assessment to them, you need validation.
Mhm.
You need have done it.
Right.
Where
I need to do my research beforehand, because what I
Yeah.
found myself doing, where it was like, this isn't gonna work, like trying to do 5 repetitions in one day, back to back to back. And after I did the first one, I was just like, I can't do this. But luckily, one of my accountability partners, Royce, he was just like, well, you know what you need to do, but since you made the commitment, at least follow through with it. And then from there, like, finish out this week,
Yeah.
do however many you can today, or the ones that you
Yes.
said you were going to do, and then finish out the week, going into next week, regroup,
Yeah.
re-strategize. And
Is
then
that,
from there, it quickly evolved into um, going from the disc training.
uh-huh.
I know I had too much going on because I did the disc training and then I went to a real estate conference because I wanted to invest in real estate and
Yes.
have that be a different source of income. But it's like
Yeah.
that's a whole nother task to
Yeah.
itself. And I just got to the point where the podcast was recording it weekly.
Yes.
I had a good backlog of episodes I could put out. And
Yes.
then I just got together with a good team, an editor, and someone that could help me kind of put together promotional material to
Yes.
share it. But um, just trying to launch into one thing when this one wasn't complete
Sure.
wasn't the best of moves. And then from there, like I was telling you earlier, I did disc, real estate, try to go to something related to branding.
Okay.
And then from there, the branding was supposed to be trying to define the podcast and disc, whether they could work together or what the niche would be. But
Yes.
then, like, taking that information and sitting back for a minute, but not
Yeah.
long enough, and then traveling overseas or
Yeah.
traveling off the mainland to Puerto Rico, start a new job all within 2 weeks. And then a month later, of course, when you're working in an area where they just got hit by a hurricane years ago,
Yeah.
but there's still residual damage. Earthquakes
Yeah.
just came in at the start of the year. So internet connection's not the greatest. Still trying to work remote. Um, with the podcast, with that, trying
Yeah.
to set up new um, consultations. And then, of
Yeah.
course, COVID hits.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, maybe it's a good time to just sit back and just, just not do any of this anymore. So I just pumped the brakes and I was like, I'm just going to chill, like
Yeah.
go back
Yeah.
home, quarantine,
Yeah.
sit back. And then it was like, okay, well, a month
You know what?
came, 2 months came, and I just let it slip and I never got
Yeah.
back to it until later.
Well, I think, I think there was probably a reason for that, because I think, like you said, that quarantine time, the ability to just, do nothing and think about nothing,
Mhm.
the passion is going to rise to the top,
Right.
and it's kind of like, what Get You Ready on, you know, I love sales. I love sales training, but there's something about motivating and helping people to get their lives straight
Mhm.
by taking action with the proper mindset. Amazingly, people, unless you have been in an arena to where you had to focus every day to complete a task, some people, they don't have to really complete a task in anything.
Mhm.
And now, once that is put on them, a challenge. And that's why I always say everybody's got a challenge that they've gone through. And
Right.
that challenge that happened to them, whether losing weight, quit smoking, drinking, whatever the challenge is, there was a moment that took you either forward or backwards in life. There
Right.
was a transformation, one way or the other. That's your story. That
Mm.
story right there is the story that sometimes for most of us, we have to revert back to that story to remind us you have overcome something before.
Right.
You have been down in the dirt before. You've had to get you ready on before.
Mhm.
What's happening now? Why is
Right.
it why are we struggling with it now? And a lot of times it's life.
Yeah.
This COVID, I used to frustrate me a little bit when I hear people complain about the people who were, still today, real concerned about
Mhm.
it. Those who would say, oh, it's nothing or whatever. Well, some people had issues before COVID. Some
Right.
people had financial issues. They had health issues. Then the COVID came and it just mounted it. And
Right.
I said to disregard that wasn't a physical thing. The reason why they can't get through it
Mhm.
mentally.
Right.
And so that's what gets me excited about the ability to help people move from plan A to plan B.
Mhm.
Now, to get all the way to the end, you're gonna need somebody else.
Right.
My goal is to get you ready on, get,
Right.
you know, get you out of the gate,
Right.
get
And
you out of the gate with a 5-point um, performance agreement. That if
mhm.
you look at this performance agreement, what you wrote down every day,
Right.
and stay on track. A lot of us, I'm like you. Yeah, last year lost a lot of momentum in
Mhm.
some things that I wanted to get done.
Right.
But if I don't do anything different this year, it's
Mhm.
going to be the same, regardless of whether COVID is here or not. Because once you get in that mindset that nothing improves,
Yeah,
nothing improves.
that's
And
true.
so, even myself, I have to ask myself the question: for the transformation that you want, what's your transaction fee? What are you
Mm.
willing to do to get to where you want to get to? And I believe first of all, I believe God's got his hand on this,
Right.
or I wouldn't be thinking about it as much as I want to. Kind of these situations, sooner or later, he rises to the top.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, he says, I finally got you where you need me
Mhm.
to help you figure out what the heck you need to do with your life.
Mm.
And that's, and sometimes it's just like you said, sitting back and being quiet.
Yeah.
And so I think that's going to be. I'm happy for you that you kind of went through that, because you're not the only one.
Right. And
You-
the thing, like when you say life is going on and kind of understanding how to respond to it, what really took me back, and right now I'm spending time not just journaling by myself, because while I started the podcast, I've been going through the process of journaling how I got here, kind of
yes,
what led me to this point to not only get in the rut, but be able to get out of the rut, get the courage to say, "Hey, I'm going to get on camera. I'm
yeah,
going to get over the
if-
uncomfortableness. I'm going to watch myself back and then look to improve upon what I did, all the while like learning about myself and continuing to grow." And what really stuck out to me was that from 2019, starting a new job in a new environment, um, it reminded me of the same time that I was just out of college in 2014, starting a new job in a new environment. The thing that was happening there was that it was at a fabrication shop where
mm,
it's for nuclear power doing new construction. And
yeah,
basically, when we came in, brand new hires out of college, we didn't even know that they basically had what they called a stop work order. So they shut down work,
mm,
like daily activities, to where every day for about 3 months, 3 to 4 months, it was strictly going through paperwork, straightening everything out, because in nuclear, nothing moves forward unless the paperwork is straight. Like
yes,
if you can't identify where something was created to
yeah,
where it's going to end up in its final resting place, it
yeah,
gets scrapped. It doesn't matter if it costs $1 or $20
yeah.
million dollars. Like it gets scrapped and it gets thrown away, and it's like start all over.
Wow,
So
wow,
very, very quickly there in the environment, people were very upset because of course they're not able to do their daily activities as they would normally do. They've got to sit there and literally read
yeah,
books upon books of just data and information.
yeah,
And a lot of when they brought us in, they requested about 12 engineers, and we had to basically go through and do problem solving in a different level. We weren't
yeah,
designing anything, but we had to be use our technical
yeah,
reading and writing skills, go through, analyze, and look at a piece of paper and be like, hey,
yes,
you went through this process, but because somebody didn't sign it off, you've got to go back through, talk to the people that were there if they were here last year, if they weren't here 3 years ago, you got to track down their supervisor, this, that, and the other. So
Wow.
it really taught you to be resourceful, among other things.
Yeah.
And the thing that helped me then that I didn't rely on in 2020 was
Uh-huh.
that I'd come across ET and the personal development,
Yeah.
talking about mindset,
Yeah.
being mindful about what you're feeding your mind to get you
Yeah.
ready on. It's like
Yeah.
literally every day on the way to work, I would be listening to an audiobook, whether it was Who Moved My Cheese, Richest Man in Babylon, Rich
Yeah.
Dad, Poor Dad. One of those books, I was listening to them. And because we're just going through paperwork, everybody kind of works in their individual
Little
cubicle. And
cubicle.
then when you got to go interact with somebody, you go interact with them. But
Yeah.
that being able to do that, it helped me kind of drown out the noise as
Yeah.
to where when I went to Puerto Rico, I had one or two guys over here constantly checking the world map, talking about, oh, this thing's spreading. It's here, it's here, it's here. And
Yeah.
it's like, I did my best to block it, but
Yeah.
I didn't do anything to take the place of what I was trying to block. So then
Yeah.
before long, I found myself relaxing. And I was just like, well, they could cancel the thing, they could not. And then, of course, we get sent home. But
Yeah.
then it's like, well, okay, you work from home, do your best and be diligent in it. It's like you obviously can't work at the site because everything's shut
Yeah.
down. But then my attention quickly just drifted and drifted and drifted to where it's like, who cares? Like the way they're talking about it, we're not going to be here tomorrow. So just don't even don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
Stop. Don't bother with any of that. Like being able to have somebody like check in and be like, "Hey, what's going on over there? Are you
Yeah.
okay?" Like you're
Yeah.
not as active anymore. You're not, hey, at least even if you're not posting, let's communicate. Like
Yeah.
being able to come home, um, be at the parents and be able to eat regularly, not worry
Yeah.
about how am I going to make this meal? How am I going
Yeah.
to do that? It's like, okay, you slowly rebuild yourself, but you have to choose to do it.
Sure.
Otherwise, you're just floating away. And then unfortunately, it's like a lot of people, um, I guess I feel like I've gone on a long tangent, but
No.
yeah,
Good stuff.
I mean, for me, it was like I purposely, I purposely undid bit by bit everything that I worked towards.
Hmm.
And what's funny is that I was checking, I did it like a date check because I was reading Dennis Kimbrough's book daily,
Uh-huh.
his Think and Grow Rich book,
Yeah.
um, Daily Motivations for African American Success. And I was reading it daily, but then in around February, the start when I transitioned over and had to move and just
Yeah.
had a lot of things going on, I looked back at it and I was like, from October to the end of January, that's nearly a third of the year. So it's like it wasn't all for nothing. Like
Yeah.
during that time, I made a lot of progress. I think
Yeah.
I nearly recorded 40 episodes of the podcast
Wow.
and did all that. I went and I pursued two different like business ventures to say, okay, I want to
Yeah.
get into real estate. I want to get into coaching and even wanting to turn the podcast into a business. It was like, it's something.
Yeah.
And it's not a complete waste because I still have access to the resources
Yeah.
and thankfully they still work, and being able to post and see feedback coming from people that I interact with on a regular basis,
Yeah.
whether it's I recorded a podcast with them or I work out with them. It's like getting the feedback. It's like, okay, it's working. The
Yeah.
interactions are there. Like these conversations, the goal
Yeah.
that I set out to do, it's becoming a reality. And
Yeah.
now I just need to spend a little bit of time encouraging them to maybe leave a review or
Yes. A
tell
comment.
me tell me what they told me in person or over the phone
Yes.
in the comments, to where it shows other people that, like, okay, like, of course people are listening, but
Yeah.
the end goal is really to have conversations with people and build relationships, because that's the thing that eventually helped me get out of that rut, is the relationships that have been built
Yeah.
over the years. It's like, obviously my parents know me the longest, but
Yeah.
it helps to have other friends look out for you and are willing to connect with you, because it's like, some people, if you don't talk to them for a year, you would think like, oh, I'm
They,
gonna I'm
they
gonna
want
write that person off. They're not serious. They're over there clowning. Like, they'll say hi one day and then hi next day. But like, at a time like this, it probably helps to be
oh,
able to reach back out, and like, people really need that
right now you're
attention.
exactly what we miss by not making that phone call or checking in on someone is that, when we do check in on them, it might be too late. And but I appreciate you telling me your story, because that's what Get You Ready On is about.
Mm,
It's about the challenge. When the game of life starts to challenge you, get your ready on.
yeah.
Life is challenging. It's the one game that I tell people, and not like I'm an authority or something. I said, but there's no timeouts.
Right.
You can't change the rules of the game. The
Mhm.
rules are always been set, and that's why I always tell people when they don't say it a lot, but they say, well, I stay ready. I said, well, how do you prepare for life?
Mhm.
How do you stay ready for life? Because I think we all were prepared some way for COVID, but we didn't
Some
know it was gonna be like this.
Right, but I think some people were more prepared than others. Like,
Yeah,
in for instance, I know I watched I during the time that I guess a lot of my idle time, or some of my free time, I like to watch Joe Rogan, for example, and he's a
mhm,
comedian,
yeah,
UFC announcer,
yeah,
and he has a lot of comedian friends. And over the years, he's always encouraging people to start podcasting.
yes,
And whenever the shutdowns happen, there was no comedy, and there hasn't been for a while. But a
yes,
lot of the people that took his advice and had started podcasting,
yes,
they had an audience, they
yeah,
had a source of income, they had products that they'd been able to make. Even if they had to be delayed, they had something to sustain them from the practice and the repetitions that they put
yeah,
in. And even for myself, it's like, although I slowly shut down, like,
yeah,
the the time that I put in from the end of July
yeah,
through, I want to say, I wasn't I wasn't doing as much in March, but I still worked through the month of May. So it's like,
yeah,
from January to May, whatever I made from work, I
yeah,
was able to save that and use it through the rest of the year and have it be able to sustain me. So it's like,
yeah,
that was still some sort of preparation, but there
yeah.
were people that weren't didn't have any savings, didn't have
No,
anything in mind. And it's like, that's where they weren't thinking like, oh, I got to prepare for life, because it's like,
yeah,
if it wasn't this thing, it could have been something else. But
yeah,
if
yeah,
if you're not if you're not diligent in what you do, just one thing could basically ruin you for it.
well, and that's those are those you know families, single moms, single parents, just barely, making it, and then you
Yeah.
throw this at them. They're trying to raise a family, and so the key to it is that, okay, what was your dreams? What was the dreams that you had before this happened, and how can we make those dreams still exist?
Mm,
And the problem that has, including, and I put myself in that same category, I have that dream,
mhm.
but it's maybe a month or 2 months later. I'm still trying to, get through this. I'm trying to be perfect about this, and it hadn't got started.
Right.
And so the key to it is, we Get You Ready On. We want people, hey, Okay, you said you was gonna do that. Let's go.
Right.
We
But
start today.
so I know for I know Get You Ready On is your brand, and it's part of your business. So does it is it strictly applied to the salesmen that you train, or are you wanting to take it outside of that to help people in general to just do, like you said, the 5 points to get going, get back on the horse?
Yes, well, Get You Ready On, it is what we're looking at, what's called a motivational lifestyle brand. What we're wanting it to do is spread the word. We want to build a community of like-minded individuals. When you see somebody, our goal is when you see somebody with a Get You Ready On shirt, or a shirt that has the brand label of Get You Ready On, they're prepared.
Right.
They've taken on the challenge to get better at and chase their goals and their dreams, because nothing can be more tough than to quit dreaming. Now you're just going through this deal day by day, and it's not.
Right.
It's no fun.
Right.
Be honest with you, it's no fun to just to get up and not have any dreams. And we want to get people to refocus. 2020 was a terrible year for a lot of people. But if we're not careful, 2021 will be just as bad.
Right.
Because we haven't done anything to get better prepared. We didn't learn anything last year because we were, for lack of initiative, lack of movement, lack of taking action. We didn't learn anything in 2020. So now we're 2021 and we're doing the same things.
Right.
January is almost over with, and we haven't taken any action on those goals that we said we were going to do. So what we want to do is inspire and motivate and get you ready and prepared to take on the daily challenges. Just take on today.
Right.
See, I think what happens is, just like when I was telling you about my losing weight story, when he told me I had to be 225, is when I turned around, I couldn't see getting to 225. I couldn't see it. I was like, well, you hadn't lost a pound in your life.
Why is that? Why was that the first thought that came to you?
Because I had never lost weight. Because what happened is, when you finally say that you want something, and there's a caveat to it, you got to go do this to get that. See, remember, I said I just got to get in shape.
Right.
He said 225. He put a number on it. That changed the game. And for most of us, okay, I want to be a doctor. Okay, you need 10 years of school. Oh, 10 years. Wow. Oh, okay.
Right.
Or you want a podcast. Okay, well, you got to build a website. You got to do this. Oh, okay. I didn't realize how much work was going to be involved.
Right.
And that's where the stopping point comes. Because once you realize, everything's good, like, just like ET says, over here, it looks easy, but when you get in the middle of it, it's not easy. So the mindset that's going to get you, as we say, between all the practicing and the game day execution, that's Get You Ready On. Because you can do a whole lot of practicing and never get to the game day execution. Something's got to pull you along to get to where you want to get to, and it's your mind.
Gotcha.
It's your mind that's got to drag you to that point to where you need to get to. And so for me, when he put 225 on there, then I knew I had to get there, or I couldn't get to my dream of getting back on the football field.
So, okay, you walk me through this again. So you want to play football, you go and try out, coach tells you you're overweight. You gotta lose weight if you want to make it to play this position. You set in your mind that, okay, I'm gonna get healthy. That's gonna help me lose weight. But then you go away and you come back and he tells you you hadn't made the mark because you hadn't lost the weight. Like, what weight were you at before?
No, it never got to the point to where when he mentioned that I had to lose weight,
Mhm.
He found out that I was coming back from my senior year.
Okay.
He says, "What do you weigh?" I
Okay.
said, 245, 250. He says, "Well, to get back on the team, you can't be no more than 2.25."
Mhm.
I said, "Oh, okay." And I never forget this. He says, "I'm serious," because he was
Mhm.
a family friend and a coach.
Right.
He says, "You're not healthy at 245, 250. 2.25, that'll get you back on the team. Now, there's some other things you got to go through, but
Mhm.
that at least gets you on the team." And
Right.
when I turned around to leave, I told myself, you had never lost a pound in your life. See, self-doubt is the first thing that creeps in.
Mhm.
When I wasn't prepared to go
Right.
lose 25 pounds, I was going to get healthy.
Mhm.
I wasn't prepared to lose 25 pounds. When I called him back the next day and I said, "Hey, I'm going to need some help with that."
Right.
Well, I'm gonna show you a little performance agreement, and you're gonna sign it, and these are the things you're gonna do every day.
So what pushed you to call him the next day rather than staying in your self-doubt and just go home, bury your head under the pillow and just say there's no point to doing that?
Because
What
my dream was to get back on that football field.
got you? But what kept the dream alive in your head to s- to overlook that self-doubt that you had immediately when he told you this is the weight you need to meet in order to get back? Because immediately you said, "I've never lost a pound in my life." And
Mm,
then I would think, if that's your mentality, if that's your thought, why bother?
hmm That's the challenge. That's the challenge. And you either at that particular time you take on the challenge. Remember, challenges either going to change the trajectory of your life for better or for worse.
Right. So then w- how did you choose to take the challenge?
I chose to take the challenge because my vision, my dream was bigger than me not making it.
Mhm.
I wanted to be on that football field. Remember, I wanted to be on that football field worse than it was going to take me to lose the 25 pounds. I just didn't know how to go about losing 25 pounds.
Got you. But I mean,
Really,
why was it so important for you to get back on that field? Maybe that's the question I should be asking.
what was important about it is because, two things. One, I wanted to get the respect back in my name.
Mm,
I'd never quit anything. I never quit. I could play football in my sleep. And so I'd never ever quit any sport.
mhm.
But for some reason that summer, I just didn't feel like playing football. And plus, I wasn't in any shape either to play. I
Right.
probably could have. And here, I would have still made, I'd have been on the team and probably second, matter of fact, second string.
Mhm.
All I just had to do is stay out there.
Right.
But mentally, I just couldn't functionally see it. And so I decided not to. But that and the other thing, my family,
Okay.
really my father, he was really hurt by it.
Mhm.
He was really hurt by it. And so, I thought, okay, you got to take this on. Plus, you hear the people, my rest of my junior year, you hear him kind of talking, man, he quit, he's
Mhm.
overweight, um, the bullying tactics really. And so you go through that. And
Mhm.
so, but the bigger dream, not so much the bullying,
Mhm.
not so much my father, him being disappointed. It was just me being disappointed in me to where I knew I had to step up.
Got you.
So once I made that decision, to and I got some assistance on how to look at goals,
Mhm.
mental goals
Right.
that could get you through this, because it was a mental grind. But man, I'm gonna tell you what, once I figured it out,
Mhm.
like, oh, this is gonna be this is a no-brainer, because I had lost that 25 pounds almost in less than a month.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. When you're that heavy, some of it just need to come off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I just had to get one foot in front of the other.
Mhm.
But here's the trajectory of it. From then on, I've learned I love running.
Mm.
I became a jogger at that particular time in my life. And I've always used this performance agreement when I got in the car business.
Mm.
I applied at a dealership and they turned me down because I wasn't a closer. I was a persuader. I go back the next day, ask for the job again.
Mhm.
They turned me down again. And I go back the third time and finally they give me the job. I wouldn't have did that if I hadn't lost that weight,
Mhm.
because my mind would have said, okay, well then, I'll go do something else.
Right.
That's the difference between the trajectory. That's why I'm saying challenges have a way of either making your life better or making it worse. I
Right.
was able to take the challenge on physically
Mhm.
to where, now that's 16, now I'm 60.
Mhm.
And I love to jog. I'm daily runner.
Right.
It cleans my mind out. So it was what was a football moment,
Mhm.
time, as far as getting back on the field. It helped me whenever I wanted to dream for something, I always knew there's going to be a challenge to get to that dream. You don't get
Gotcha.
to nothing, you don't get to nothing free. And so same thing with Get You Ready On. There's a
Mhm.
challenge to get You Ready On out there to the public.
Right.
I know the task is going to be difficult, but I know if I hold to this performance agreement,
Mhm.
it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
What's beautiful about that, and um, is that as you look back to that moment and you remember it, you keep pointing to what the problem was and then what you did about it. You don't dwell too much on what would be, I guess, like we are saying, the mental aspect, which is that self-doubt that came in, and then the self-doubt had to be overcome either through the teasing from the team members or the reaction your dad had, to where that, I guess that's what I was trying to get to. If it was, it that reaction from your teammates and your dad that eventually pushed you to ask your coach, I don't know how to lose the weight, but I really want to. Can you
Mhm.
help me?
Yeah, I think there's a combination of lot, because really the teammates really didn't tease me or anything like that. They said, "Man, we
Mhm.
wish you was out here," and stuff of that nature.
Mm.
More, when you're 16 years old, you're
Right.
overweight, just the students.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. I
yeah,
got you.
yeah,
Right.
just that type of bullying and stuff like that.
Right.
You know,
Your
um,
teammates will ride with you, but the other
that's right.
kids may be clowning on you.
That's right. Yeah, some of them was funning, and some of them you like, well, you don't know me well enough to fun like that. But because when I came back,
Mhm.
and they didn't even recognize me, but I got out of it what I put into it, because I got my starting spot back.
Right.
At
Right.
the end of the day, I got my starting spot back, but I learned a valuable lesson, that
Mhm.
how powerful the mind is, because
Mm.
I could have easily not called the coach.
Right.
I could have easily not called him, and he to this day we still talk, and he always says, "I'll never forget when you called me." He said, "When you turned away and went home, I never thought I'd see you again."
Mm.
He says you actually fooled me. But I told him, I said, it was a thing. I said, when you told me that, it's kind of called like the game before the game. When you told me I need to win the game on the inside before I can win the game on the outside,
Mhm.
it clicked. I was
Gotcha.
like, you right. I need to get my mind ready before I go ask my body,
Right.
to hey, just lose 25 pounds. Mine's got to agree. Well, wait a minute, we ain't losing 25.
Right.
And so that's kind of same thing with sales. When they put the quota on you, you need to sell 15. You,
Mhm.
your mind will be the first one to say, is either going to say, "Oh, I got this,"
Right.
or you can say, "Well, I don't know how I'm going to get to 15."
Right.
You're already defeated.
Right. Right.
I
And
think today when people are wanting to want to transform into something, we all have a lot of great ideas,
mhm.
but just as soon as once we find out, okay, ooh, this is the blueprint to get here. Ooh, okay. I'm not, all of a sudden I'm not near as confident as I was 5 minutes ago. Now that you
Mhm.
do it, gave me the blueprint. And
Right.
and so I always I have to check myself even now. Sometimes I'll look at something and my first thought is like, I don't know about this. And really I should just say, let's go.
Right.
Get
But
you
it,
ready.
it
Let's go.
it sounds like that the blueprint you said that your coach gave you that really gave you um the blueprint, it really gave you the plan into how you could really um get your pride back, because
Yeah.
it's like you knew that your teammates missed you, your dad wanted you to do well, and that kind of gave you some kind of it built up your self-worth to be like, that that's something I can do. And I think that's a big part of the mental game, where it's, yeah, you can feel bad about yourself and the thoughts are going to come, but
Mhm.
I like how you kept coming back to it. And maybe I was so stuck on asking that one question, I was missing the point, because the point isn't the problems are going to come, but then what are you going to do about them? And knowing that you can
Exactly.
overcome the problem is the first step. And then from there, having a blueprint to follow to get you over the hump. And on the other side of it, it's like that.
Exactly. Every challenge from here on out, that's the blueprint. They finally hired me at the car dealership. The goal was you had to sell 12 cars a month. Well, it
Mm,
was the middle of the month. And so he says, you got to sell 6 cars toward the end of the month or you can't stay.
mm,
Like, wow, no training or nothing. And all I did was go home and put that on my blueprint.
mm,
I put what was asked of me and how
yeah.
I need to get there.
Mm.
And it worked for 10 and a half months before they let me go. But then we moved down here to Oklahoma and everything took off for the next 30 years. But that's the
Mm,
same blueprint I gave salespeople. I said,
right.
I'm going to help you figure out how to get it done. You don't need to worry about getting it done. This will
Mm,
show you how to get it done. You just need to apply yourself.
mm,
You need to give me everything that you can give me to make it happen. And I think that's, if you come from a place that you're not used to having to grind it out and go through those type of things, or you're the one that I call it the toll booth of life. Some people, when they go down the highway and it's got toll booths on it, and
mm,
they get to the first toll booth and they got the money, but then when they get to the second one, they realize they ain't got enough money.
mm,
They start to think about what they need to do. And for some people, they're going to get off and go back underneath it and go back home
mm,
because they don't have the money, and there's a fear.
right.
Then there's some people that'll pull off to the side of the road and think about what they should do.
Mm.
Then that third person, they just gun it and go right through it. Just send me the check. Send me the bill.
Right.
I
Right.
got I got to get to work.
Right.
I got an opportunity. That's how we need to be in life. Just
Mm,
go. Because most of us we'll go back underneath that toll booth, and then we'll come back next month,
right.
the next month. Next thing you know, 30 years. You
Mm.
never made it all the way down the highway.
Oof. Every time I laugh, or every time I just kind of wince, is because it just speaks to certain points. Just thinking back within the last year, where I'm just like, yeah, I can think of where I did that, where I was like, uh, maybe not right now, but it's like, okay, um, driving to the toll booth. Not saying that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not saying that you should do it, or not saying that you shouldn't
Yeah.
do it, but it's like, in all honesty, it's like, okay, you get the bill, what do? You pay the bill,
Yeah.
because otherwise it's like, if you get to your destination and you do what you have to do, you're going to be able to pay the bill easily. And it's
Yeah.
like better for you to do that than to sit there and wander and ponder over, like, do I not? Because it's
That,
like, at the end of the day, you're wasting time, and
yes.
all that thinking, it wasn't for anything that was, it's not solving the problem. Like, you
And
either
it
you
just
got it or you don't, you're going or you're not.
it just keeps happening and happening in life. And that's the thing about sports. Sports always has that analogy. Even when I was going through that senior year and opportunity, I kept looking for opportunity. And finally my coach says, opportunity's knocking at the door. You gonna answer it?
Right.
And he says, now if you're gonna answer it, he said, don't answer it if you're just gonna look around and see who's at the door. Only answer it if you're gonna go through it and shut it behind you and lock the door, throw away the key, and don't ever go back that way.
Burn the bridges.
That's right. He says, because some of us, and I'm that person too, my high S plays into that for me.
Right.
I'm conscious about things that's going on, and sometimes I should just let it go and not worry about it. But that's part of my makeup right there. And so if we can inspire people to, hey, get your ready on, take a plan of action, let's go.
Right.
Burn the bridges behind you, and let's just keep moving forward. Because when I got a ticket from my son, he was out there in California, and the ticket was only for like $6.50, but it wasn't no big thing. But if you don't pay it within the 5 days, it's $120. And I called him and said, hey, what was this one about? And it wasn't the first one nor the last one. Yeah. And he said, Pops, I had to get to work. And I said, okay. I didn't have the money. I just had to get to work. He says, because he was doing an internship in Carlsbad, California. Right. And, and when I got off the phone, I thought, good job. Good job. That's a good decision. And we can pay $6.50 if you continue to get that education. But sometimes it's that's the problem. We don't know how much it is until we give of ourselves. And so we just got to give it up and say, hey, I'm just gonna go. But it's a mindset, and we want to do everything we can to encourage.
Gotcha. So I mean, if you could, what are 3 points that you got from the blueprint that your coach gave you back then that you've used throughout your career up till now?
Of the 3, the first one is first thing on the agreement is I believe that I can do what's being asked of me to do. Too many times, we see ourselves doing it, but we really don't believe we can do it. And the problem is that the belief aspect of it is the aspect that gets you through it when you quit seeing it. See, when you quit seeing the vision because the hill's getting taller, now you got to get back to your belief to get up over the hill. When he said 225 and I said I had never lost a pound, I wasn't in my belief system anymore. I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it, nor did my mother want that to happen. She thought my dad was starving me that summer, but he wasn't. It was just I was working out. Right. So the first thing is to believe that you could be successful at whatever you want to be. Second thing is be accountable. This is your life. This is for you. So accountability has 2 things to it. It has a reward and consequences. So what's the reward for you believing in yourself and getting it done? And then what's going to be the consequences that you need to put on yourself for not getting it done? So I allow you to put your reward and your consequences down to see how deep this really means to you. And what I mean by that, if your consequences aren't as equal as your rewards, it tells me something. There's a good chance you're probably not going to get it done. Right. Because you don't have deep consequences. So it's important that you have your accountability on that. And then the probably the one that I always look at the most is, what is the discipline? What discipline do you, not discipline, take the back. What transformation do you want? And what are you willing to give up in this deal? What do you want? How bad you want it? And then what are you willing to give up? I wanted to get back up on that field so bad, I was willing to give up them 25 pounds. That's what it took. That's all it took. And I wasn't dead. We're going to get them 25 pounds.
Right.
What is the transformation that you want? And then what is the transaction fee that you're willing to give up? And most of us, amazingly, we're not willing to give up nothing, but we want to transform into something.
Right.
And it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen that way. And it can't be 50%.
Right.
It's got to be 100%. And so those three right there, accountability. First of all, you got to believe it, that you could sell this, or you could do this, or you could be a podcaster. Or it doesn't work, because there's days, I'm guaranteeing you probably already been through them. There's days you're like, man, this work. Man, this stuff, man, this is just not working out. You know, I think that's why you hiring some people to handle some of that stuff. You know, you find out what your swimming lane is, and then being accountable and saying, okay, here's the reward if I make it, and then here's the consequences. And your consequences need to be harder than the rewards. So bad that you don't even want to go down that road.
Right.
You know? But you have to take ownership of it. It's your personal agreement. Now, whatever the numbers is or whatever you're trying to do is also on there, and you take that and you sign that, and then you give it to two people. After you sign that piece of paper, you give it to two people. You tell two people, this is what I want to get done.
Right.
I need you to make sure that I don't falter. And so you got to have two people that, you know, I had two people that helped me lose that weight. Right. I told them I need to lose weight. My two best friends. They said, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
You know, and that the whole summer they were with me. We got it, you know, we got it done. Matter of fact, it became fun. Yeah. It wasn't really drudgery. It became real fun because they were like, man, you're going to kill them. You're killing it. And so now you have your performance agreement, because salespeople, I'll use sales as the job puts a performance agreement on you. You sign up for a company, you sign your name for them to pay you. They now put a performance agreement on you. In the sales industry, if you allow a company to put a performance agreement on you and you don't have one on for yourself, their performance agreement will always be higher than yours, because it makes the company money.
Right.
You need a performance agreement for your company.
Right.
And so your performance agreement should be higher than theirs, to the point to where they're like, oh, okay, that's yours. Good. Okay. I'll sign that. Because that doesn't even, I'm not looking for that. I need twice as much as what you're asking of me. Because the company's only thinking about the company. So salespeople, that's why salespeople or individuals, you need to have a performance agreement that's bigger than the one I'm asking of you. Because I'm only asking enough to take care of the dealership. You need to be asking what it takes care of your family.
Right.
Because there is a difference.
That's amazing. I like how the belief, what you're believing in, is different than the transformation, the outcome that you want, because then it's like you start with something, but I think eventually it's important that you tie it to something that goes beyond that, but something that's tangible. That's like, okay, you're losing the weight in order to do this. So then once you get there and you're able to do that, like losing the weight wasn't just I guess it could be for a season, but I guess getting you through that journey, it makes it tangible, because if the thing is, I just need to lose weight, you may or may not do it. And then once you're not doing it anymore, you might just get discouraged and quit altogether. But if you're losing weight in order to get onto the field, you know that getting onto the field, for example, it's not going to be like a one night stand where you just going to the wedding and like you get your best fit on, and then that's it. After at the buffet, you're just throwing back, no, it's like the whole getting on the field, that's a whole season that you got to play through, and it's like the weight's got to stay down, otherwise you lose that whole thing that you were working towards.
You explained it perfectly too, because when you do something and there's not a transformation on the other end, it can turn into temporary. Because I've had people ask me, we get into the weight, because they would never even know that I weigh 245. I'm 5'9", 5'10" at the best. So I was heavy. I didn't make it about losing the weight. I made it about getting on the field.
Right.
So everything. So I wasn't even weighing in, but I knew something was changing because my mom said it. She kept looking, and the clothes was saying it. And then about 30 days, I did get on there. I was like, wow, okay, I didn't hit the mark. But my mind was, we still working out.
Yeah.
We'll just see where this goes. We'll just see where it goes. Because I still want to get on the field. And so I think when you're making changes, why are you making these changes? Why are you transforming? Is it for something tangible, or is it something that's going to change your life? And that's where that trajectory of, if you're making a transformation and it's going to change your life, if you're going to get this job and it's going to change, not that you can go buy a bigger house, but you can provide something, education for your kids or something like that, then it's something that's sustainable. That means you're going to fight through it to get there, stuff of that nature. If it's just about, I want to have a new car and, and put more money in the bank, sometimes those will leave you. Sometimes those, those goals right there are easy to, push them to the side. But yeah, you're dead right. It was more about getting on the field than it was the losing of the weight, even though, yes, it helped out a whole lot. Yeah. But my goal was to just get on that field. And we want to be able to help individuals think like that. Okay, why you want to do that? You want to open that business. What's the result of you getting that business open? Then what do you want to do with that?
Right.
But more importantly, just a positive mindset for some people. They just don't. Some people got great jobs, but they got terrible mindsets.
Right.
They're not happy, or something's going on, and throw COVID in the picture and stuff like that, and how you not happy? You got a nice job, you got this, and I'm looking for a change. I had a lot of people say, "Hey, I'm looking for a change this year."
Yeah.
And looking for a change. Why? You ask them why, and they couldn't really say. I was like, okay, just difficult stuff. So
yeah.
But yeah, that's a good stuff, and it's incredible. We live in an incredible world that we can reach people far and wide and encourage them. I think, like you said, if we would just encourage somebody, go out of our way. We have a vision that when you see somebody with a Get You Ready On shirt, they're telling you their mind is prepared for it.
Yeah.
They're prepared. They understand that when the game of life starts to challenge them, Get You Ready On.
I need to bust my shirts out.
Yeah, exactly.
Get a couple pictures in them.
Yeah, your story is exactly what it's all about. You have a story, what you went through last year. The challenge to get you to where you're at right now is incredibly important. I mean, that's the essence of Get You Ready On. When you're low in the valley, don't nobody know, but there's a bunch of people down in the valley. There's more in the valley than at the top. How do we get all these people up to the top? One by one, however we need to do it. But it is, it's time for some transformation. And I think people want to, but they don't have the tools. And that's the same thing with the DISC assessment. It's just a tool to say, okay, hey, this is what motivates you, and this is what doesn't motivate you. So if you're picking something that you want to do and it's kind of over and it doesn't motivate you area, you might want to look at it. That's all.
Right.
You still do what you want to do, but it seems to come true a lot more than I thought. after looking at it, and I go over, and I've taken a couple since then.
Yeah.
and not really trying to change anything.
Mhm.
Because I like who I am at this stage of my life, but I do know that, okay, I have to make some changes in order for business
Mhm.
wise, and for my wife and my kids, how I communicate with them and stuff like that. So that's why I think it's a tool. And then we have some other tools that we think can help with the performance agreement to help get them started,
Mhm.
help them get some momentum, and hopefully, it'll click for
So
'em.
you'll be getting ready to launch the performance agreement very
Yes,
soon?
we're switching out the website,
Okay.
and then once we get the website switched over and stuff, we've got the performance agreement we need to get completed.
Mhm.
We got got podcasts that preparing minds to take action, the game before the game,
Mhm.
coming out. So need to learn something from you, but yeah, we have some exciting things that we want to make sure that we had told ourselves before the quarter,
Mhm.
for the first quarter, because and really we said by the end of February.
Okay.
Because I know me, I
Yeah.
don't take action quickly enough like I should and stuff like
Right.
that. I've done a lot better job
Mhm.
because I put the performance agreement. I say,
Right.
hey,
Well, that's
you,
good. You believe in February, and
that's
you know
right.
the transformation after that is getting it out to the people. And
That's
once it
right.
gets out there, you're gonna keep working it,
Yes.
tooling it, and just keep making it better and better.
Well,
It's what do they say? Perfect is the enemy of good.
yes, exactly. And we just somebody's pulling us to that.
Mhm.
Somebody's pulling that vision to us, and so we can keep fighting that pulling, or we can try to just say maybe we'll go run with it a little bit, just see where it
Yeah.
takes us. Because that's a beautiful thing about it. We believe it.
Mhm.
We don't even see the end of it. We believe it so much,
Mhm.
and we're gonna let somebody else see it, and we're gonna just keep following it and following it and following it, and hopefully that we can inspire somebody and encourage somebody to um, just get you ready on the day, make
That's
it happen.
great.
Yes, yes.
Cool.
So
Well, I won't keep you too much longer. I
no,
think if you want to do tomorrow, we can do tomorrow. If not, I think we put
okay,
down some good groundwork.
yeah, okay. Well, I guess I'll just give you a call tomorrow morning, and because we were supposed to meet at 10 o'clock, weren't we? Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
you're 10 o'clock your time. Yep.
yeah. So that's 11 o'clock your time. So
Yep.
yeah, I'll we'll sleep on it and we'll
Yeah.
see and you take a
I
look
mean,
and
well, yeah, it'll be good to just continue to catch up because it's
yeah,
like just being able
exactly.
to have a conversation. It's been a year just about, and it's almost like we kind of just picked up like nothing happened. We're just like, oh, 2020 didn't happen. We kind of briefly caught up, and then we just keep going. It's like,
That's it.
oh, we hadn't even talked in a year.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that you're in the, I always go this where the disc always come to play in because now that I know it, the fact
Mhm.
that you're a C and the S, I knew we'd be talking all night
Right,
because
right.
that's
I
what,
mean, right. And I guess that's where it's like it's good to have those governors to where it's like, okay, well, we
yeah,
know we're gonna go all day, but like let's cut it now and then we'll pick up tomorrow. We'll do
yeah,
another hour, maybe two, and
yeah.
then cut it. And then that way we save it. We save a little bit for the next time. And it's
Chop it
like,
up.
yeah,
Exactly. Well, that's good. Well, man, I'm happy for you, Asher. I'm glad. When I started seeing you, noticing your podcast again, I like, oh man. The first thing I said, well, he's back at it. 'Cause, and I hadn't thought about, I hadn't seen you
yeah,
that long. You know what I'm saying? But then I thought, well, you know what? It's been a minute since Asher. But life.
yeah,
This is
right,
just this is that there's no time clocks on this life deal. I mean, there
right,
is, but in between, they ain't blowing whistles, and we're living,
yeah,
and sometimes we just got to regroup. But it yeah, there's been a lot of. I think they changed up some stuff too,
mhm,
but I'm using it for what the portion that I need just to give another tool and
right,
not
right,
use it as a total program.
Right.
To let somebody else that wants to do that. That's the, I don't want to get that deep or anything like that.
Just
So,
use it for what you need. If you just need
that's,
that Phillips head, just use the
that's right.
Phillips head. Don't go grab that Swiss Army knife if you don't know what to do with all those other
Yeah.
gadgets in there. Just like, nope, not for me. Just
Yeah.
leave that over there, use
Yeah.
what you need, and then put it back in your tool belt.
Yeah, they're just in the way as far as that goes. But well, cool, man. I appreciate it, Asher.
Yes,
And
sir.
we'll
Thank
reach out.
you.
I'll reach out to you tomorrow morning, and heck, maybe we'll do a little session on maybe some sales training or something.
All right.
Alrighty. Cool.
Sounds
All right, brother.
sounds like a plan.
See
Have
you,
a good
Asher.
night,
Thank
sir.
you too, man.
Thank you, Avery.